از این پس برنامه دنیای عشق رو از جم یو اس ای روزهای جمعه 9 شب، شنبه 11 و نیم شب، یک شنبه 1 و نیم ظهر و دوشنبه 8 و نیم صبح به وقت لس آنجلس دنبال کنید. خانم دکتر آزیتا سایان در برنامه دنیای عشق جوابگوی سوالات شما هستند و به مباحث مهمی همچون ازدواج، تربیت فرزندان، افسردگی، طلاق، سکس، همجنسگرایی، خیانت و هزاران موضوع متنوع دیگر می‌پردازند. برای اطلاعات بیشتر از برنامه‌ها، سمینارها و کارگاه‌های خانم دکتر آزیتا سایان با شماره 310 460 2600 تماس بگیرید و یا از اپلیکیشن و یا وبسایت Embrace Growth دیدن کنید.
Good evening. My name is Gregory Morgan and welcome to Love Talk. I am the co-founder with my wife, Dr. Azita Sayan, of Embrace Growth, and together we do seminars and workshops all over the world, especially here in Los Angeles, and these television shows as well as have a private practice for marriage and family counseling, hypnotherapy, and anything that has to do with coaching you in your relationships with your families, and in dating and sex and marriage. And so I've brought this show to you this afternoon to eventually open the phone lines and talk about the things that block us and hold us back in our relationships. And my intention is to give you new ways of seeing yourself, seeing your life, and seeing the issues in your life so that you actually have some power to deal with them. It's really not that life comes without problems. If you are alive, fully alive, then you're going to have issues and things that come up in your life. And particularly when you open your heart and begin to love other people and be in relationship with other people, then there's a whole process of giving and receiving that impacts us very profoundly. It impacts how we feel about ourselves, it impacts our view of the world, and it impacts our view of other people. Ultimately, our feelings and our thoughts and our emotions determine the actions that we take in the world. And it'll determine the projects that you will create for yourself. It'll determine how you feel when you get up in the morning and throughout your day. And, you know, it's interesting, just as a side note, I got into the elevator this morning in the building, in our office building here in Los Angeles, and there was a lady in the building, in the elevator, and I always say good morning, and she goes, it's Monday. And I thought, well, yeah, Monday's good, right? And she said, well, I prefer Friday or Saturday. And I'm like, oh, okay. I said, you must not love your work. The point of it is, I actually look forward to Monday. I love coming to the TV show. I love going to my office. I love working with people. And it could be said that I don't really have a job. I have something that I love to do. And maybe it's more like a career. But it's not, I never see it as a job. We do it pretty much 24 hours a day. Every now and then we'll take a weekend and go someplace. But usually when we go someplace, when we're relaxing, what we're talking about is our work, and because we love our work. I call that being alive. So what I'm going to be talking with you about today, the addictive system, the codependent and addictive system that we as human beings have inherited, not only as a culture, not only as a people, but as individuals. There is a way of being that is dependent and powerless and codependent that keeps us from feeling the full expression of being alive. Embrace Growth, the company that we formed several years ago so as to bring aliveness to people, is exactly about that. So when you call in and you ask your questions and we have interactions, I'm going to be listening for where is the aliveness held back? Where is there a commitment to a sort of deadness? You know, there's people that are walking around and you know, their whole life is kind of an expression of I don't care and I don't care, I don't care, or a sort of resignation. People who are living, looking backwards in the rearview mirror at their past and at all the traumatic and difficult things that may have happened in their past. And because their focus has been so concentrated on past issues, those issues continue to perpetuate themselves into our present life and into our future life. And what people don't seem to understand, or you know, part of the understanding that I want to help bring to you is that what you focus on expands. So if you're focusing on all that's bad with your life, or all that doesn't work in your life, or all that is limited or holding you back or restraining you in your life, well, then those are the things that are going to continue to expand and become more and more prevalent in your life and begin to self-perpetuate. That at some point it begins to look like that life is happening to you. A negative experience of life is happening to you, that you are powerless to do anything about it, and that you are dependent on someone outside yourself in order to find happiness, fulfillment, full self-expression, health, vitality, money. All of the things that we think will make us happy, we have a tendency to think that they are coming from somewhere outside ourselves because we have focused for such a long time on everything that wasn't working in our life. So that's a little brief synopsis of some of the things that I want to talk to you about today. And I also want to simply open the phone lines up at some point and get a chance to answer your questions and take your calls. Technology that we have been practicing to the point where it is who we are now. And if I were to use an example in your own life, there are things that you couldn't do so well the first time you tried them, and maybe even the 10th time you tried them. And but if you kept doing it because you were committed to it, because you saw a chance to be fulfilled in it, and that could be anything like as simple as running, you know, or some sport or athletic, or playing a musical instrument, or painting, like an art form of any kind, that you practice, and at first you're not so good at it, and then you get better and you get better, and then if you keep doing it, anything that you do 10,000 times, you are a master at. Really, think about it. Anything that you've done 10,000 times, you're a master at. You no longer think about it, you do it without thinking. Another way of saying that is that it has become a part of who you are. And so mastery of anything requires practicing it, failing at it, correcting yourself, trying it again, correcting again, and keep practicing it until you constantly improve. So conscious practice is a part of any art form. I don't care what the art form is, and I've developed and mastered several of them. And whether it's in martial arts or dance, music, singing, any of those things that you practice and you practice over and over, if you practice getting better at it, you are going to get better at it, and eventually you will master it. And loving relationships and communication is the same way. It's exactly the same way. Having romantic relationships, having loving relationships in which you find fulfillment and happiness and ease, and it becomes a part of who you are in your life. That requires practice, conscious practice, because you can practice something imperfectly 10,000 times, and all that will do is make it permanent. Imperfect practice makes imperfect permanent. Perfecting something will make perfection permanent. Coming to the seminars, going to workshops, this is something that I still do. I still have teachers and mentors that I follow. I'm constantly in a process of learning and growing and developing. Have been practicing Aikido for a number of years. I stopped for a long time, and I noticed that it still was a part of me. But lately I wanted to practice it again. I just kind of missed that whole thing of putting on the gi and going and practicing with some people on a mat and throwing people around and rolling and all the things that you do in martial arts. I started to miss being that physically active and being a part of a group of people that practiced several times a week. So I started back to that. And also with my sword practice, I have a black belt in Iaido, which is Japanese sword, and I started back with that. And I expected it to be rather clumsy. And in fact, it was. I got to the dojo, and as we're putting on the gi, there's a certain way that you wrap the belt that a sword goes into. It's a traditional way, and it's part of a meditation to prepare yourself. And I found myself going, is it this side this way or this side this way? In other words, I had left the practice, and now I was kind of like watching the other people, how they tied theirs, to make sure that I tied my obi. It's called an obi. It's a wide black belt that you keep your sword in. I had to have somebody show me how to tie my obi to make sure I had it right. And so that part was a little clumsy. And then getting out onto the mat and doing the bowing in ceremony and all of that, I found myself being a little clumsy about that. The reason I'm sharing this part of my life with you is that when I finally took the sword, everything came back to me like it was yesterday, and maybe even better than yesterday. It is as if I had never left. The sword and the mat and the gi, the costume, felt so familiar, and I felt so at home in it. And later on my drive home, the sensei had said to me, it's as if you never left. This is a sensei who I knew 20 years ago and used to practice with. It was all there, as if I had never left. And it felt like home. Because later, as I was driving home, I remembered and practiced that I had practiced it thousands and thousands and thousands of times. And so it's just became a part of who I am. I challenge you in these workshops and in these courses that we do, and in the work that we do here on the phones, I challenge you to I will be giving you specific things, suggestions, and practices. I challenge you to practice those things. Practice anything 1,000 times. Never mind 10,000. Practice it 100 times, 1,000 times, and see if you can't improve. So many people are more committed to proving that something doesn't work. See, I tried that and it didn't work. And you have a whole list of things behind you in your life that you've practiced that didn't work. But did you really practice them 1,000 times? Did you practice them with a commitment to constantly improving? And what I'm noticing in the times right now, the world is under a great deal of economic stress and political stress. There's wars in several countries, as you well know. I believe that this is having an even heavier impact on our relationships, both our human relationships, obviously, and our relationships to our own health and well-being, both mentally, spiritually, physically, and emotionally. People are not well. They're under a lot of stress. It's impacting me, it's impacting you, it's impacting the people that you are surrounded by. Any person watching this show is in connection with at least 30 or 40 people in their life who are being impacted by the system of non-living. I call it the addictive system of non-living. And so I want to go ahead and going to give you a little bitty slide presentation about that so that I can tell you what I'm talking about here today, okay? We are living in a system that is an addictive system. And any addiction system is any process over which you are powerless. Any substance over which you are powerless, and it takes over, causing you to think things that are inconsistent with your own values. It becomes progressively more compulsive and obsessive, and it masks your true feelings and confuses your perceptions. All of this causes a lack of inner awareness, and when you are unaware inside, you start relying on your own confused perceptions. You start thinking that how you're seeing things is the right way to see things, and because as human beings, highest motivation, or our most base motivation really, is to prove that we are congruent with what we believe. So you start believing that your confused perceptions are the truth. And when you find that all that that's giving you is more and more dependency, more and more powerlessness, more and more confusion, then we become dead inside. And eventually, the stress of it will kill you. It will eventually cause death. So the characteristics of addictive thinking are dishonesty, self-centeredness, a dependency on either a substance or a process or other people, and a need for control. You feel that you're out of control and that you're dependent, and so it's all driven by a need to try to control. It's fear-driven. And codependency is when you are in love or in a relationship with somebody who is displaying this kind of behavior, in other words, the addictive behavior that I was just describing. So if you're in a relationship with somebody who is displaying this kind of behavior or who is an addict, or you have one or more addicted parents or grandparents, or if you grew up in an emotionally repressive environment, it could be an emotionally repressive family, school, culture, religion that suppressed you emotionally, then chances are you are a codependent. In fact, those are the distinctions for codependency. 96% of the population is codependent or addicted. 96% of the population, your population, the world's population, is in a state of codependency or actually in an addicted to something. The real addiction is the feelings of powerlessness. You see, addictions to substances, addictions to processes, addictions to people are all masking a true addiction. And I'm saying here that I think that the real addiction is an addiction to the feelings of powerlessness, the feelings of not living, of being numb, and a feeling of deadness. People have these feelings pervading their entire life. They feel like they're barely afloat, barely breathing, barely staying alive. They're walking around as if they were alive, but really they're kind of dead inside. So just take a look in your own life and see if you like, if something like this fits. When I talk about aliveness, I'm talking about being happy for no reason, being happy because you're happy. You know, when I spoke to the lady in the elevator this morning and she was, bummed out that it was Monday, it struck me, I'm actually happy it's Monday for no particular reason. Monday is as good as Tuesday to me. And, and being alive can be noisy. Like when you're a little kid, right? When you're a little kid, what does a little kid do? They're happy, they're noisy, they're excited, they're full of energy, they're exuberant. They're promiscuously sexual. They're sexual like an experiment, like for fun, because it's interesting and cool. Being alive means actually being all those things. But when you were a little kid, when you were happy, noisy, excited, full of energy, exuberant, and sexual, they said you were a bad boy or a bad girl, right? When you were quiet, or when you were depressed or withdrawn or non-sexual or sick, in other words, when you were not alive, when you weren't filled with aliveness, they said, oh, you're such a good boy, right? If you just sit in your corner and be quiet and not bother anybody and shut up and certainly not be sexual and sort of, be numb, then they always said that you were a good boy. So you've been trained, you and I have been trained from early on in life to be not alive, to be good boys and girls. So that left us with a choice. And there's three choices that you could have made, that people make, okay? And the first choice is you could choose not to be alive. In other words, to be dead. And some people so there's two parts to this choice. One is choosing not to be alive. The other one is actually choosing to die. That accounts for a huge portion of teenage suicides, okay? People have actually chosen not to be alive and to die. Or survival choice number two, and this is actually the rarest one in our society, is to choose not to die. In other words, to choose to be fully alive, to live your life fully, and to stay alive, all right? And the choice number three is to not die, but to not live either. And this is actually the most common. This is what you see is far more common than suicide, and it's a lot more common than being fully alive and self-expressed regardless of the cost. People choose not to die because that would take some courage. But they also choose not to live because that would take some courage. So in either case, you're dealing with a fear motivation. Most people don't choose choice number two. And that's the one that I'm going to ask you to choose, and that's why we call our company Embrace Growth. It's about choosing not only to not die, but to be fully alive. And when I say not to die, I don't mean just, have a heart attack and die necessarily. But all of the addictive behaviors that I described previously ultimately lead to a lack of aliveness and ultimately death. Any addiction will kill you. Even addictions to relationship, addiction to gambling, addictions to substances like drugs and alcohol, addictions to sexual relationships, all of those will eventually end up in your emotional health, your mental health, your physical health, and your spiritual health being diminished to such a point that you no longer are able to physically sustain life. So all addictions do kill you. So I don't see that there's, take away those other choices. I don't see that there's any other choice except to choose not to die and to live, which is a choice for courage. That choice requires courage. It requires facing the fears, and it requires facing the possibility of being criticized, of being laughed at, of being not understood, of being out of your element, because the greatest fear that we have as human animals, we're human beings, but one of our greatest fears as human animals is to be pushed out of the pack. Pushed out of the pack means to be rejected by society, to be rejected by a family or by a culture or by a religion that has given you, in most cases, has your family given you aliveness? They caused you to be alive, but did you grow to be an alive, fully expressed, happy human being in that environment? If you did, God bless you, you're one of the few rare ones. Did your culture, did your religion, did the people at work encourage you to be fully self-expressed and alive? I rather doubt it. I live in the world too, and I have for quite a while, and it's been rare. I have sought out consciously, purposely, and sometimes at great expense to myself, environments and cultures and communities that cause and promote the highest level of aliveness possible. Whether it be the dance theater that I used to do in New York, martial arts, spiritual communities that I've been a part of where we meditated and then we went out and did outrageously fun things. Some of the men's teams that I practice with that you know, we go camping or we do something like really fun, the kind of stuff guys love to do. But all of those bring an aliveness and awareness into my life without which I don't think that I would be able to face the world. So I noticed that there were several people that called on the line while I was talking. Thank you for your patience and for allowing me to share this with you. And I want to go ahead and take your call. So if you're still watching the show and you still have questions, the people who were holding online, thank you for holding. And you can call me back. The lines are open. Hello, this is Gregory. You're live on the air with Love Talk.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, Mr. Morgan. First of all, you look very nice tonight. Very, very nice.
Thank you.
Mr. Morgan, I enjoy watching you. I enjoy the things you said is all right.
Thank you. Thank you.
The only thing is with everything going on in this world, with all this stress in life and economy and everything else, very hard if you see people that they are very, very happy, like they wake up in the morning and they have a smile on their face.
Yeah.
What I'm thinking is, because what I have experienced with myself is when I go exercise, that helps. After exercise, I can see all the stress, all these problems, you know.
It gets rid of the toxins, for one thing, because that accumulate in your sleep in the night from the foods we eat and just from sleeping. Your body replenishes itself, and then as it does, it throws off toxins. That's why it's a good idea to get up and do some stretching and exercise, take a shower, drink a lot of water, and then the endorphins, those feel-good hormones, start rushing in.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I appreciate that you said that, because really you are taking responsibility for feeling good.
Yes.
Right? And listen, you could wait until somebody came along and make you feel good, or you could eat something to try to feel good, or you could watch TV to try to feel good or forget how bad you feel. But there's a number of things that people do that we try to feel better, and that's normal, right? As human beings, we want to avoid feeling bad, and we want to feel good, and that's just natural. We go about it in ways that don't necessarily work because we haven't been taught. And for the most part, we have learned from movies, songs, poetry, our parents, other people around us, all the stupid shows on television that show codependent relationships. You know, now it's even vampires. Or people are like, the cool thing is to suck each other's blood now. I mean, it's like crazy, right? All based on this sort of subconscious channeling of an idea that happiness and well-being or something comes from other people, comes from somewhere outside oneself. So you're taking responsibility. You're getting up and doing something to make yourself feel better in the morning.
I believe if I exercise in the morning, I can fight with these people around me. That first, I make myself feel good.
Very important.
All the stress out. But I wish I had this wisdom that I have, experience that I have now. I had it years ago because I was living with somebody that he was giving me anxiety, nothing but anxiety. He would never be happy, my husband. When I never knew when he was happy, when he was not. And that's the worst thing for a man. You know, I really didn't know when he was looking at him. Is he in a good mood? Is he in a bad mood? What I'm dealing with.
And he may not have known either.
Yeah, he didn't know either. Right now, after he died and everything, I told myself, I have to live happy. So what I'm doing is I exercise in the morning, I drink a lot of water. I got rid of all those annoying people around me. Nothing but asking you.
Any people that you have in your life that, you know, and I challenge each person on this show, okay?
Yeah. So
I challenge
anyway,
the people on the show.
I'm telling you from my experience.
Yeah.
So I have now few people that I picked that they're not upsetting me, and I try to be happy. Go to work, come home and relax, watching what I like. But your show is very, very interesting. I always look for you and your wife. Show in every channel on TV. That's my favorite show, and I learn a lot. Especially today, it's very things you said. It was very, very interesting. I learned a lot.
Thank you.
And what you're saying is right. And being happy is the most important thing in life.
Well, yes, because you
something.
can't control the circumstances.
Happy, you can't function. I can't function.
You can't control the circumstances of your life necessarily. There are things that you can control, yes? Like what friends that you go hang out with. You can control that. You have and like you said, I challenge you to go a step further. You said you got rid of everybody that was upsetting you, and now you have friends that don't upset you. And so that's an improvement. However, I challenge you to take the next step, which is to find friends that are delightful. I have a few friends that no matter when I call them, day or night, a couple of guys, okay? When I call him, one of my buddies, Dennis Perry, I hope he's watching the show, every time I call Dennis, by the time we've spent a minute to 2 minutes on the phone, we're both laughing uproariously. I don't know, the guy's got a sense of humor, and he triggers my own sense of humor, and the next thing you know, we're like joking and chatting and just laughing about some ridiculous thing in our life. And those are the kind of people that you really want to keep around, you know? You want to have people like that in your life, and if you don't, well, first of all, become that kind of person. And you might think that it's not work, that, well, I should just be that way or something. But if you're not, I want you to know that I actually took on, because I had to, all right, in order to change myself in my own life, I had to work on being funny or having a sense of humor. It's not that I didn't have a sense of humor, it's just that it was undeveloped. Like everybody can sing a little bit, but you know, if you practice, you can sing better. You know, and some people say, oh, I can't sing at all. I promise you, if they practice, they could sing something, right? So I practiced telling jokes, telling stories, having fun, hanging out with people that were funny, going to comedy clubs, watching comedy shows.
Exactly.
You know, so because I wanted to have humor and laughter in my life, and then be that kind of person that could cause other people to laugh if that's what was necessary at that time, like they needed to have a laugh, right? And just so I could enjoy my own life more. I also practice learning to be strong, like knowing when to say no, you know, and knowing when to say yes, being able to receive, you know how so many people try to give you something, and you go, no, no, thanks, that's okay, thank you very much. I had to learn to say, wow, thank you, I'll take that. Right? I don't know, you gave me a compliment earlier. Thank you, right? I used to like deflect that. Now it's just like, thank you. I'm able to receive, whereas before I wasn't. So one of the greatest gifts that you can give other people is letting them know that they've made you happy by what they gave you, right? Everybody wants to make other people happy, don't they?
Not everybody, no.
Well, somewhere in their heart, they would feel better if they could make people happy.
Some, yes.
Yeah, some have chosen to be grumpy and whatever, right?
Right.
But I think even underneath that, there's probably, I wish I could be some other way. I don't think they're having a very good time being that way. I don't think they're like, oh, great, another day of being grumpy, right? They probably enjoy being happy every now and then. I just admire you. I admire that that you take on practices of making yourself feel better. It's just like in the airlines, right? When if they say put on your air mask first and then help somebody else, right? Right?
Yes.
You got to be able to feel good first, and then you can
Exactly.
want to. It's just natural to want to help other people and help them feel better. But you can't. A lot of people who are unhappy are people who have spent their whole life trying to make everybody else happy, and they've ended up being miserable.
Exactly.
Very common in amongst the women in your culture as well.
And something else.
Yes.
That is very important is the feeling of being satisfied with what you have.
Yes.
I always say, like, this is what God wants me to have. This how I furnish it, this kind of money, this much money I have. This is what I mean. Having those things doesn't make me happy, to be honest with you. Happiness has nothing to do with the fortune or how much money you make. No. It's just, first you have to be healthy. Second, you have to be happy for what you have.
Yes.
And just say, this is God wants me to have this much money, this house, and I'm very happy.
Yeah.
That's
Being
it.
happy with what you have, and it's okay. It really is okay to want more for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay to want more. It's okay to put in progress something to go and get more if that's what you want. But I like how you said it, being happy with what you've got, so that you're always being thankful.
Yeah.
You know, thankful for my health, thankful for my home, thankful for my wife, thankful for my car, my clothes, the things that I have, but also for my station in life, my situation in life, so that in that gratitude, even if it all went away, you're still well, you're still happy, you're still good. Even if you got more, you're still happy, you're still good, because the source of your happiness and gratitude is in here, not out there. And I think that that's part of one of the slides I was talking about. People get confused perceptions. Their inner awareness gets confused, and then they begin relying on those confused perceptions to interpret what's happening in the world. They feel bad about themselves, so they assume that everybody else feels bad about them too. And because they think everybody else feels bad about them, then they start feeling bad about everybody else.
Mr. Morgan,
Yeah.
I wish you would make this like a DVD. It's really interesting.
Great.
What you talk about today, if I wish you could make it like a DVD. You know, I have all those. You have like a, you know, about it.
Yeah. Addictive relationships and
Exactly.
the art of listening, relationships and trust. Yeah, those are some of the DVDs that we have. Yeah.
One of those is really, really interesting. We watch it and we learn so much about it. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Thank you for calling, and thank you for watching my show.
Sure.
All right. Bye-bye. Okay, great. So the lines are open. I welcome your calls. I'd much rather spend my time discussing things and learning things with you and answering any questions you have than to simply lecture you on addictive relationships and, you know, or try to tell you about being happy or not unhappy. So here's some more calls. Let's go ahead and take them. Hello, this is Gregory, and you are live on the air.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Morgan, yes. I have a question. I don't know how it relates to your subject today that you're talking about, but the thing is, I'm a person that see myself doing things in a complete way. I mean, I always do everything in my responsibility to the perfection.
Okay.
And at the same time, since I see myself like this, I see other people, I expect other people be complete, be perfect. But
well, that's where you're running, that's where you're being dishonest, you see.
yes,
Yeah, that's maybe a blind spot for you, see. Anytime that you expect anything from other human beings, you're automatically going to be disappointed, aren't you?
that's right.
Yeah.
I have
So
numerous examples every day in my life.
Yeah, so your expectations, just hear me out because maybe I can save you some time and heartache in your life, okay? Expectations are the antithesis, the opposite of love. When we expect something from somebody else, now, if you're in the military, if you're a boss paying somebody to do a job, you have a right to have expectations. But in a personal one-on-one relationship in which you are simply related because your lives complement or fulfill something for each other, then to put an expectation in there is like putting a weed killer on a rose garden, you know, or it's like pouring poison on a plant. It just sort of kills it. It destroys the roots of the relationship so that it doesn't have a chance to blossom and become what it would have been. It becomes something else.
That's right. In regard to relationship,
Yes.
I see that. But what I'm getting at is when I confront in the society, When I go outside, I want to get out of the parking lot. I see a driver is blocking the exit for no reason, and by some stupid reason.
Yeah.
Since I do my...
They're texting.
Yes. Since I do my thing in a perfect way, that's how I grow up. Everything I do to my responsibility, it is my responsibility. I do it to the 100% perfection. That, I guess, has built up a wrong perception of
yes.
viewing society that make me expect from them the same way that I do.
Yeah, let me stop you for a second. Let me stop you for a second because I want to shed some more light. What you're saying is so great, and it's a chance to help a lot of people because you're not the only one that has this. I've had this same problem myself, okay? Where I've tried to do everything perfectly according to me. Now, is it possible that your perception of what is perfect might not be complete?
Would you repeat that question one more time?
Yeah, I know. Is it possible that your perception of perfection, what is and is not perfect, is it possible that it could be incomplete?
On an average basis, I would say, I guess, distinguishing right from wrong, the common sense. I would say, yes, but you are right. You might be right. It might be a relative thing. I mean,
well, it is because just follow the thinking here for a second, because I really want to give you some freedom around this. I know that if you called and told me this, it's because you wanted to get some freedom or some space around it, because obviously you're troubled by this.
That's right.
Yeah, it's not making you happy, and so my whole point here is to give you some space so you can experience your own liveliness and happiness. Okay, I'm going to use an object, but then it's just going to be a metaphor, and we're going to map on something else to it later. This cup is how it is, yes, and it is not how it is not. Is that true?
Might be.
Just follow the thinking. Is this cup any other way than the way it is? This is like, what color is a white fence, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. This cup could not possibly be a way that it is not.
Okay.
Okay? I'm expanding your thinking a little bit. They say that a mind once expanded beyond its own barriers never returns to its original size. Okay? So I'm expanding your mind right now. This cup is the way it is, and it is not the way it is not.
Okay.
Okay? This microphone.
Because...
Wait. Just follow my logic for a second. Hold on. Just stay with me, okay? This microphone is the way the microphone is, and it is not the way it is not, right? Now let me ask you this question. Just think with me for a moment. Is this not a perfect cup? If something is the way it is and it is not the way it is not, it's no way other than how it is, isn't it perfect?
Okay. I see your point.
Okay, but hold on.
Okay.
You are the way you are, right?
Yes.
And you're not the way you're not.
Yeah.
I mean, can you be any other way than how you are? No, you're just that way, right?
Yeah.
That's the way you are. So you're perfect, okay? And I am the way I am. I cannot be any other way than how I am. I am the way I am, right? So I'm perfect. So hold on. So you might expect me to be some way, but I'll only be the way I am. And you might expect somebody getting out of the parking lot to do it some way, but they're only doing it the way they're doing it. And how they're doing it is perfect. How they're doing it is perfect. And here's what it really comes down to, my friend. And this is what you have to deal with. You have to deal with it, but it's easy to deal with. In the end, it only comes down to, I like it or I don't like it. See, you just don't like it. And you think that's important, but it's not. You just don't like it. You don't like how the person pulls out of the parking lot. You don't like how, there's kids that were putting trash on my lawn, okay? I live not far from a high school, and these kids would come by and they'd drop trash on my lawn. And all right, I don't like it, okay?
I see the point.
Right? I don't like it, but they're just doing what they're doing. So I went out and I talked to them. Now, at first I wanted to rage at them and like call them names or something, I was really mad. But I said, what's going on? I said, do you know that I work really hard to be able to have this house and pay for this house and have this nice lawn and everything? And then you come and put trash on it, and then I got to come and take it out. I said, so I'm going to ask you not to do that. Will you stop doing that? And tell all your friends, cut it out. All right? And I want you to know, I only did that once. I don't know what happened, but all the kids quit putting trash on my lawn. In fact, the whole street doesn't have trash on it now. I said, you have every right to put trash wherever you want. I'm asking you, don't put trash here, around here or anywhere in this neighborhood. Just stop it. Put it in the trash can. And they did. So here's the thing I'm trying to communicate to you, and by giving you this example.
I was going to refer, so this is at the beginning when you were talking about, I said, okay, this is a general case, but how about if we are living in a society and there are laws and organization and then illegal things, the people, but then you said it, I mean, the example, the loan example, the kids, spread the garbage.
Hey, they could have pulled a gun and shot me. I don't know. You know, they could have done any number of things, right? I mean, but my whole point in this is that once you accept the way it is, what's coming out of your mouth, who you are being. I was just being like, hey, I'm just like you. I was a kid too. I threw trash all over the place, but hey, stop it, please, right? I don't like it. And I don't know, because I wasn't threatening, I didn't insult them, I wasn't trying to scare them or chase them or beat them up or anything like that. They just said, oh, okay. So what I'm trying to communicate to you so that you can have some freedom in your own life is that people are the way they are. They're going to do what they do. I don't like most of it.
Yesterday that this happened, I was exiting a parking lot and my daughter was with me and my son-in-law. And the car was blocking almost the exit, but there was some space in front of the car. I could dodge the car, I could make a maneuver around the car and leave the parking lot. But since I did things perfect, and then I saw that I just came out and said, do not stop here. And he said, well, I have to do because I had to do something. And then he ignored me. And then I was upset, and then I eventually did the thing that my daughter said. And my daughter said exactly the same thing to me. They said, well, you cannot expect completion from society. You have to, since you are this way, it doesn't mean that everybody, you can't expect everybody to be like you. So you have to just think society of, just watch your step as you go. And if you see some resistance, so don't push it. Just make your way around it or something.
Well, and that doesn't mean be resigned and say, well, I just live, because I went through a phase where it's just like, okay, I live in a world full of jerks. Everybody's a jerk. But guess what? That made me a jerk. If everybody in the whole world's a jerk, who's the biggest jerk, right?
Yes.
That's going to be me. So then I thought, okay, I'm really the biggest jerk because I'm going around calling everybody a jerk. That's not really what I called them. That's the nice name for TV. But I was calling everybody a jerk. When I began to accept myself, what I really got was, you know what? There's some things I like and there's some things I don't like. And what I really saw is that I like things that work. Yeah, I like things to work. And this is what I hear from you. You have a commitment to have the world work, to have your life work, to have other people's lives work, perhaps. And I get that that's a really heartfelt commitment for you. That's something you really want, isn't it?
That's right.
Yeah, and you're willing to do your part.
That's right.
You know, and you're willing to do your part. So the next step for you in your growth and development and your expansion, if you will, is to expand to a place where you can include that other people are perfect the way they are. See, I used to expand to include that other people are imperfect. No, they're perfect the way they are.
That's right.
That's how they are.
Yeah.
Right? And it's not my job to change them. Now, I have a job, the one that you see me doing right now, in which I expand people's visions and possibilities, and they change themselves.
Yeah.
Right? But I can't change you. I can't change anybody else. People come into my office and they think if they give me enough money, I'll change their life. I don't actually do it. They do. I expand the possibilities. I expand their vision. I help them to see the world in a different way, and then they change. But they do the changing. Yeah? So it's a fun job. And I propose to you to take it on because there's not enough people to do this job of expanding people's lives and possibilities and trying my best to be a good example of a human being so that I can actually live up to what I'm asking other people to do.
Yes,
but I don't expect it. Yeah, don't expect it because that just kills everything.
That's right.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for calling.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Hello, this is Gregory, and you are live on the air.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
How are you? I am not a Golestani. I am Irani.
I understand that you're Irani. And can you speak English enough to do this interaction?
Yeah, no
Okay.
English. I am Farsi.
Okay, well, I don't speak Farsi
Uh,
well enough to have an interaction with you.
I love you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. If you want to speak Farsi, you can call Donya Ayesh, which is on Wednesdays and Thursdays, and speak with my wife, Azita Sayan, okay?
Yeah.
She speaks
yes.
Farsi very well.
Yes. Okay. Goodbye.
But thank you for watching.
Goodbye. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, sorry. ببخشید. کمی فارسی میفهمم اما خیلی خوب نی میفهمم. I don't speak Farsi well enough to do a television show in Farsi. So I can understand a little bit, but I haven't mastered speaking Farsi well enough to have conversations. So we have a few more minutes, and the phone lines are open, and I challenge you to go ahead and call, ask me any questions that you have. We've been talking about what it means to be fully alive, you know, to be happy, to be noisy, to be excited, to be full of energy, and you know, to have relationships that actually cause happiness in the world, that cause full self-expression, and to begin to heal those things in our past that are incomplete, in which we have felt hindered or held back in some way in your life, to rise above that and to get over that. And so I'm going to go ahead and keep taking calls. Hello, this is Gregory. You're live on the air.
Hi, Gregory. How are you?
I'm excellent. Thank you.
Okay, I just
How are
want to
you?
let you know when we have peace in our heart, and that is the most important thing.
Yes.
Then when you have the blessing to see the beauty of the life and appreciate them, then that's the time that no matter in what situation of money you are, or what kind of education do you have,
Yeah.
you're blessed to be alive, and you enjoy every second of your life.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. And that I agree with everything that you said.
Okay, thanks, and have a great day.
Well, thank you. Thanks for sharing.
Thanks, bye.
Yeah, bye. That's great. Yes. And how do you get that peace in your heart? You know, how do you get that gratitude? How do you get to a place of peace and gratitude and loving and sharing in your heart? And how can you ongoingly cause that even when you don't feel like it? That's what we're talking about. Hello, this is Gregory, and you're live on the air with Love Talk.
Hi, Gregory. Thank you so much for your great program.
Thank you.
I've been listening to it, and there's one part that I'm kind of confused about.
Okay.
And it's the expectation part.
Yes.
I didn't quite understand that how you can not expect some people to do the right thing and at the same time tell them to do the right thing.
Okay. And you didn't know how you could keep from doing that?
Yes, like for example, the example that you talked about.
Yes.
Like children putting trash in your yard. There should be an expectation probably from them not to do that.
Well, of course. Of course I have the expectation. I'm not saying I don't, okay? I'm saying I didn't expect them. In other words, I didn't burden them with my expectation.
Okay.
Because it would have made zero difference. Can you imagine what difference it would have made if I went out there and say, I expect you to keep this yard clean?
Yeah, that's true.
Right? And if you don't, right, I don't know if that would have gone very well. They probably would have put graffiti on my house.
Okay.
Right?
So you mean the way that you express your expectation should be different, right?
Well, no, I'm not saying that either. But thanks for asking. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to create some clarity around this. Your expectations are not going to go away. To be human is to have expectations. Part of how we survived as a species and that we're still alive and that we're actually in charge of the planet, apparently. You know, it looks like we're in charge of the planet. We're in charge of all the other species of life here, pretty much, yes?
Right.
Well, how do you suppose that happened? Because we don't have big scales, we don't have big teeth, we don't run very fast. In fact, we're kind of soft and chewy as far as other animals are concerned, all right? So the only reason we're not food for other animals is because we have the ability to look out and project predict, in other words, the future. We're able to see circumstances and have some kind of expectation or prediction about how it's going to turn out, right?
Right.
So it's good that we have that,
Okay.
right? Now, when your expectations become the only thing you can see,
Oh.
then you have what we call tunnel vision, right? You only see things this way, but there's all the other possible ways that something could turn out. Yes?
I see.
So if you expect the world to look like you think it should look down your tunnel vision, then you're missing the whole point. It's not just that you're missing the rest of life, you're missing the point of life. You're missing the essence of what life's about.
If everything was the same, that's true.
You're missing what life's about. Life's an adventure. Life is to be played full out. And look, just like a ship at sea, okay?
Okay.
The captain is in charge, but he is not in control of the ship. The crew, which could be as many as 500 guys, depending on how big the ship is, right?
Right.
Who's controlling the ship?
Okay.
Who is controlling the ship? The crew or the captain?
Well, both of them.
No, the crew controls the ship. The captain's in charge. The crew is in control. As long as the crew thinks that the captain's decision, as long as they respect the captain, they honor the captain, they think the captain's decisions are wise, he's making good decisions, then everything goes well. Yes? When the crew no longer believes that the captain is making wise decisions, they don't trust him, they don't respect him, we have at sea, they have a mutiny. That's called a mutiny.
Okay.
Okay, now in your life and in my life, we have there's a conscious part of us that thinks it knows what it's doing.
Okay.
Thank you. In other words, like the captain of the ship, it's in charge. Then there's the subconscious part of ourselves, the part of us that we don't really see, that's below the surface, if you will, and that is in touch with all of life. It's the part of us that you might say is the spiritual part, the subconscious part. It's a part of us that is in touch with ancient memories and knowledge, as well as future visions of how things could turn out. Okay?
Okay.
If your life is being guided by a single part of you that is the smallest part of you, in other words, the captain, your expectations, right?
Right.
Then you're missing the whole point of the voyage. You're missing the point of the trip. The point of the trip is to experience life, to expand your consciousness and awareness, to include as many possibilities and choices as possible, such that you can live a fully self-expressed life. It's possible that you and me could spend a lifetime exploring ourselves and exploring life and exploring relationships and never fully know all of it, yes?
Yeah, that's true.
And as soon as you go, I expect this to be a certain way, you've narrowed your focus down and started limiting yourself. Then if you start trying to impose your expectations on somebody else,
Okay.
can you see how that's not going to go too well?
Yeah,
Now, once again, if you're the captain of the ship, if you're the owner of the company, if you're the parent,
Right.
if you're a teacher or a parent or something like that, it's different to have rules, regulations, agreements, right? If I'm an employer and I have employees, they have an agreement to follow my instructions. Is that not true? I mean, I pay them to do that.
Yeah, that's
Right, so that's just the agreement. So it's not an expectation. I have a right to expect it, a right that I'm paying for. You see?
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're a parent and you have your child's best interests at heart and you know a whole bunch about life that they don't know yet, and you have an agreement with them, hey, I'm going to be the best parent I can be, and I'm going to raise you to be the best person you can be, and here's what I need from you. Follow my instructions. Don't fight with me and argue with me. Okay, is that a deal? Now, you may have some expectations, but anybody that's raised a kid knows they're not going to meet your expectations.
Okay.
Right?
Is that the same in a romantic relationship?
It's even worse in a romantic relationship when, you know, look, if a man says to you, I promise to be loyal, to be monogamous, to give all of my love and attention to you, to be there for you, to never lie to you, whatever it is, okay?
Okay.
You have a right to expect that he lives up to those words. Yes?
Oh, I see.
You have a right to expect, but if he doesn't ever say that, you don't have any right to expect that. Just because a guy says, I like you, let's go out, hey, we're going steady, that's not an agreement to anything else, period. There's no agreement there.
I like that point, yeah.
There's no agreement. You know, that's the biggest confusion I think girls have. They expect guys to act like their husbands. No, we're dating.
Yeah.
We're going out. That means I'm going to try having a romantic relationship with you and with her and with her. And when I find one that I want to marry, I'll marry her. Mm-hmm. Right? I'll ask her to marry me.
But when you marry, since it's an agreement, then you can expect, right?
That's right. It's a solemn promise that you make in front of some kind of religious or official, right?
Right.
So you've given your word in front of the person you say you love, their family, your family, plus some religious figure in God, right? So yeah, it's a sacred vow. You have a right to expect that somebody lives up to their sacred vow. However, they probably won't, and what you have to do is say, look, you made a promise, and I expect you to live up to that. Are you going to do that or not?
Okay.
Yeah?
What do you...
Now, I'm out of time. So if you have one really brief question, like a yes or no kind of thing, I'll try to help you, but I got to close the show now.
I just want you to give me one sentence to suggest how my vision will be from now on if I want to put everything that you said in work. You know, from today, I want to look at things without an expectation. What would you tell me to do?
Well, I would. If you're dealing with a man in a relationship, and I'm assuming that's what this is about.
Well, no, actually, I'm more talking in general.
Okay.
Like
all right.
General,
I would tell people you have every right to do X, Y, and Z and live the way you want to live. However, this is how I feel about it, and I like it. I don't like it. If it doesn't change, I'm not going to stick around. Okay?
Okay.
That's it. I got to go. I hope that helped.
So much. Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching my show. Thank you. This is Gregory Morgan, and you've been watching Love Talk. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you back here next week. Good day.
یک مرد منحصر به فرد، مسلط، متمرکز، قابل اعتماد و رضایتمند باشید. کارگاه شرافت، عزت کلام و مهارت به رهبری دکتر آزیتا سایان. تورنتو 21 تا 23 سپتامبر، همبورگ 19 تا 21 اکتبر، ایروان ارمنستان 15 تا 17 آگوست، لس آنجلس 2 تا 4 نوامبر، 310 460 2600. از این پس برنامه دنیای عشق رو از جم USA روزهای جمعه 9 شب، شنبه 11:30 شب، یک شنبه 1:30 ظهر و دوشنبه 8:30 صبح به وقت لس آنجلس دنبال کنید. خانم دکتر آزیتا سایان در برنامه دنیای عشق جوابگوی سوالات شما هستند و به مباحث مهمی همچون ازدواج، تربیت فرزندان، افسردگی، طلاق، سکس، همجنسگرایی، خیانت و هزاران موضوع متنوع دیگر می‌پردازند. برای اطلاعات بیشتر از برنامه‌ها، سمینارها و کارگاه‌های خانم دکتر آزیتا سایان با شماره 310 460 2600 تماس بگیرید و یا از اپلیکیشن و یا وبسایت Embrace Growth دیدن کنید. در کارگاه‌های آموزشی بانوان به رهبری دکتر آزیتا سایان با دستیابی به اهمیت و ارزش واقعی خود، قدرت زنانگی و آرامش خود را بازیابید. ایروان ارمنستان 7 تا 9 فوریه، لس آنجلس 22 تا 24 فوریه، تورنتو 15 تا 17 مارچ و همبورگ 26 تا 28 آپریل. 310 460 2600. برنامه دنیای عشق با دکتر آزیتا سایان، برنامه‌ای که تمامی سوالهای شما را جواب می‌دهد. ازدواج، عشق، سکس، همجنسگرایی، فرزندان، والدین، خیانت، از یوتیوب لایو استریم، فیسبوک و اینستاگرام لایو. سه شنبه ها و پنج شنبه ها 10 شب به وقت ایران و 10:30 صبح به وقت لس آنجلس. تلفن تماس با استودیو 818 532 66 55.